Alright, so I finally did my first, last, and only watch of the Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, and I'm not going to make a whole thing out of it, but do note that I am making it everybody's problem.
Yes. Well, he was also drunk for it, too. I got bored.
Yeah, you only stuck around for, what, an hour and a half? Something like that?
I stuck around for an hour and a half because at that point I'm just like, alright, I can't do this. I'm just bored as hell. I'm going home. This is not a good movie. It already wasn't a good movie, and this did not make it any better. I would argue it made it worse.
There's some elements that are a little bit of an improvement, but again, this isn't about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Welcome to Under the Bridge, everybody.
Welcome to Under the Bridge.
I'm Cody, aka the Scarlet Troll, pronouns he, him.
And I am Greg, aka Greg, also pronouns he, him.
And this is our podcast where we talk news of the pop culture variety. Sometimes comic news, sometimes gaming news, pretty much always movie news, and also pretty much always a movie review, but not in this case of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So, make sure to ring the like button, smash that bell, and share the video around if you're into that sort of thing, because it really helps us out, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate it indeed.
Also, I got out of that with no hangover.
I don't believe that.
No, I was fine. Crazy. I
do not believe you for a second. For those at home who did not get to witness this marvelous thing, I really need to stress how f***ing plastered this man was. And I know we're too early, so sorry about that.
Oh, great, thanks. Good thing I don't have a hangover, or I'd be really upset about that.
And communicating how upset you are in college-level vocabulary.
Phenomenal. So I actually have a little bit of comic news that ties into movie news.
Oh boy.
Which is that Marvel Studios and Marvel Comics are working together on a Fantastic Four First Steps tie-in comic.
So is the comic going to be canonical to the MCU then, or is it going to be like its own universe?
Apparently it's canonical to the movie.
Okay, cool. So we get to see Pedro Pascal and all the other fun ones, like, in 2D.
Wow, I like how you only got 1 out of the 4. No mention of Vanessa Kirby, no mention of Joseph Quinn, no mention of Ebon Moss-Bachrach, nothing.
I just had, like, a major, very badly timed brain fart, because it's a thing of, dude, you like Vanessa Kirby, what the hell?
Well, I'm sure she'll remember that, if she ever listens to this, and it will not reflect favorably on you, good sir. Namor's looking better all the time.
It's okay, all we have to do to make up for it is show her the short of me gushing over her being cast.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good idea.
That's still one of my favorite shorts, by the way.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's that and the Crackoon one.
That's also a good one.
Yes.
No, so, okay. I feel like the frustrating thing is, I'm seeing this reported as the first canon tie-in comic to the MCU, which is really irritating me, because Marvel used to make a bunch of these.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know that when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was going, when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was canon with the MCU, they definitely did a few tie-in comics there.
No, that was unrelated.
I don't believe that.
No, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel comic was set in 616, the actual 616, not Earth 199999. I think I'm missing a 9, but that's not important. It wasn't set in the MCU. It was bringing the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast over to the main Marvel Comics universe instead.
Really?
However, a lot of the other movies had tie-in comics that were listed as, for example, Avengers Age of Ultron Prelude, and they came in little trade paperbacks along with key issues for understanding the characters who were going to be popping up, like the Age of Ultron Prelude also had Vision's first appearance, for example.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so as somebody who's collected quite a few of those, the notion that these are not canon, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am still irritated.
Not surprised, but definitely annoyed.
Yeah. However, Matt Fraction is also writing this, and I love Matt Fraction's work on Hawkeye, so I'm sure this will be great.
Apropos of nothing from any of that, during the conversations of this comic, I did look into a little bit more of the tie-in comic regarding Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Why is Phil Coulson just called Death now?
Oh, did we not talk about that? He died?
If we did, it's been a while.
He died and he went to... Yeah, he died and he went to hell, and then Thanos turned Death into an Infinity Stone, and it brought him back from the dead, and now he's wielding its power.
So Phil Coulson is a living Infinity Stone?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wasn't he Spider-Man's principal at one point?
That's in the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show. It's completely unrelated to any other media, although Clark Gregg did voice him in that.
Okay. Alright. That's wild.
And just because I never want to miss an opportunity to bring this up, We also have a quote from Marvel Comics editor-in-chief and cultural appropriator Akira Yoshida, C.B. Cebulski.
I was saying, it's like, I'm pretty sure I already know who he's going to talk about.
Yeah, just give it a look-see. I don't feel like I need to retread this ground. Just give that a look. Just give it a look, Cursory little bit of research.
If you have the time and the stomach, it's a fascinating read.
So the quote from Mr. Yoshida, Cebulski, is, As Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four and their stories have always been at the very center of the Marvel Universe. With the Fantastic Four first steps coming later this summer, we at Marvel all felt this was the perfect opportunity to bring our teams together in honor of their legacy in both the world of the film and within our comics. It's been a blast to have our teams in publishing and studios bounce ideas back and forth to create something truly special and one of a kind, and we can't wait for fans to be able to dive into this comic squarely in the world of the MCU and experience the Fantastic Four like we've never seen before this summer.
Okay.
You know what? Actually, I'll take this. On the proviso that hopefully this leads to exploring some of the other nooks and crannies you never got around to in the MCU. Like, for example, I know why we never got a movie or any such thing about the team of Avengers between Age of Ultron and Civil War, the one that was Cap, Black Widow, Vision, War Machine, Falcon, and Scarlet Witch.
Right.
But that would have been a cool team. You could make some comics about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cap's team on the run. I think they did make comics about that. I think that was part of the Infinity War prelude. That they're now apparently saying wasn't canon at all. So thanks a lot.
Continuity? What's that? That's a foreign concept.
But yeah, no. That's interesting. I'm sure this will be full of Fantastic Four villains we're never gonna see on the big screen. Like Paste Pot Pete.
That sounds like the name of a garden variety get at your grocery store chicken pot pie.
No, it's Paste Pot Pete. I mixed it up. That sounds like a chicken pot pie, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like the brand name of like a chicken pot pie from the 50s.
It's got the word paste in it.
I mean, hey man, it's the 50s. All kinds of shit was made with all kinds of weird shit.
They did really like putting things in gelatin, so...
Yeah.
Huh. Now, as I understand it, this one you brought to my attention, we now have a glimpse at the next movie coming from director Michael Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Outrun, based on the 1986 arcade driving game from Sega.
Yes.
Now, you seem more versed in Outrun. You want to bring me up to speed?
Shut up.
That was an accident, believe it or not. That was completely unintentional.
So, the long and short of Outrun is that Outrun is a arcade racing game where your basic task is to take your Ferrari, take your crazy-ass girlfriend, go on a long, high-speed, very illegal trip across the country, where you drift at over 150 miles an hour, near-miss traffic, split lanes like an asshole, all for the sake of making her, I'm gonna say excited to keep it safe for work.
Is this a bad time to point out Sydney Sweeney is producing this?
It's never a bad time to point that out.
She's not confirmed to be starring in it, but she is producing.
Yeah, she is the producer for it. One of the other producers is Toru Nakahara, who's done the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and also Shuji Utsumi, who is the CEO of Sega, will oversee the project as well.
Huh.
So, people from Sega, at least one important person from Sega, are keeping a close eye on this. So, that's interesting. Yeah, this was one where I saw it, I'm just like, okay, but why? I don't want to say, how can you make a story out of Outrun? Because the Gran Turismo movie exists, but... It is a game where it's like, there's no overarching thing, there's no extended lore, there's no someone plays Outrun, gets really good at it, and then gets a contract to be a factory Ferrari GT driver. It is literally just a video game series about taking your convertible Ferrari with your crazy-ass girlfriend, being a shitty, illegal driver, because it basically gets her horny. That's where my headcanon is with the game. The game doesn't explicitly say that, but in my headcanon, I do believe that the girlfriend in these games is actually a psychopath.
Huh. I'm looking, and it does look like any movie in which Sydney Sweeney is a producer, she is also in. Because she's been a producer, executive producer on Anyone But You, and also a producer on Immaculate. And now I didn't see Anyone But You, but that was a big financial hit. And Immaculate, I think made my top 10 list of last year. I think.
Okay.
Right, I think it barely edged out Heretic, because I could not in good conscience have 2 religious horror movies on the list at the same time. That'd be gauche. And...
Fair.
And I thought Immaculate was just a teensy bit better. Just a smidge.
Yeah. I think the thing that gets me most about it is the fact that, to my knowledge, the last Outrun video game in general was Outrun 2006, which, if the name doesn't give it away, was released in 2006. I don't think there's even been an arcade cabinet game since then. Who's going to see this? There hasn't been a widely available console release of the game since 2006. They did put the game on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 in 2009, but I want to say that was only in Europe, and it was an always online game that you could only get through like Xbox Arcade and PlayStation Network.
Ew.
So as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't count.
Yeah, more power to you. That's... Ugh.
So it's a thing of, alright, who's the demographic? How is this going to go? Is there going to be a single person under the age of 40 who is going to come and see this movie? I mean, the answer to that is yes, because it's going to be me, because I think this is going to be, even though it's a movie with cars, this is going to be a morbid curiosity pick. At least until we get a trailer.
Can you phrase that in the form of an NSYNC track? It's gonna be May!
Oh, sweet Jesus.
And I mean, come on, people saw the Gran Turismo movie. I mean, I know Gran Turismo's still putting out games, but I don't know.
I mean, unfortunately, it's one of those things where, like I said, when I saw this news, is like, how do you make a story out of, no, wait, once again, the Gran Turismo movie exists, so it's possible. It's just that somehow, some way, this movie has even less of a leg to stand on. So that'll be interesting.
Less of a leg to stand on than I know this track, I've raced it a million times.
And even less than stand on where, how do you know that the brakes are bad? I've tuned and driven hundreds of cars in the game, and I know how long it takes for the brakes to wear out. And I'm just sitting there like, Gran Turismo has never simulated brake fade. Like,
nice.
What?
Real good.
Yeah, so this should be fun.
Alright, I don't think they had a release date mentioned?
No, there's no release date as far as I can tell, just an announcement that this is being worked on. Like I said, I am eager and morbidly curious to see what the trailer looks like for this.
Well, I'd say it's a video game movie, so odds are I'll be there, but I've gone through this month so far without watching a Minecraft movie or Until Dawn, so... not a guarantee.
Yeah... I guess the only thing about this that really gets me is that it seems like they have good people who are on tune with this. Like, obviously we have Sydney Sweeney producing, and then we have Nakahara and Utsumi on as well. But is this the start of IP mining, or just searching for video game IPs to make movies out of?
Oh, Greg, we've been there.
Yeah.
Greg, Until Dawn just came out. Gran Turismo was, 2 years ago now?
I think so.
Yeah, Greg, we're already there.
Oh, that makes me upset.
It's like the Seven Dwarves going to the diamond mine, except instead of diamonds, it's IPs, and every time they sing a high ho, they get slapped with a cease and desist from Disney.
Ooh, can G.I. Robot kill mining of IPs? No, G.I. Robot, they're not doing that. It's like, okay.
And now it's time for an update on... the current... Okay, it's not the bane of my existence, but the fact that it's still coming out continues to haunt me, and believe it or not, I'm not talking about Doomsday. It's time for an update on Toy Story 5.
I forgot that was being made.
Yes! Yes, I have reintroduced this nightmare back in your conscious mind.
Why would you do such a thing?
Because every day a little piece of me dies knowing that Toy Story didn't end at 3, and I am determined to inflict that feeling on as many people as I possibly can, in the hopes that it will alleviate my own pain.
Are you sure it's not just the cancer doing that?
Alright, listen here, you. First of all, great work. Second of all, moving on.
Oh, why am I like this? Anyway.
In an interview, Tim Allen said, "I can tell you that it's a lot about Jessie. Woody and I do realign, and there's an unbelievable opening scene with Buzz Lightyears. I can give you that, but I can't give you much more.
Buzz Lightyears plural?
Yeah, I think they mentioned there was going to be a whole bunch of Buzz Lightyears in a previous update on Toy Story 5, and I probably tuned it out because, God almighty, why are you still doing these? I know why, because they make money, but why? Put the toys in the bag, huh? That's one of my favorite shorts.
Yes.
It's also been mentioned that Combat Carl is going to be recast. He was previously voiced by Carl Weathers, but obviously Carl Weathers having passed away, that's not really possible in this case. Ernie Hudson will be taking over instead.
Okay.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah,
and
good.
I like the idea of giving Jessie some more focus, because I like Jessie, and Joan Cusack is a great actress.
Yeah, absolutely.
But why Toy Story 5? Why? Why are you doing this?
Honestly, why Toy Story 4?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I know we've harped about it on this show before, but it really should have just stopped at 3. It ended perfectly at the 3rd movie.
Toy Story 4 is the reason why John Wick is the only solid tetralogy I know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a little unfair. I feel like Toy Story 4 isn't as bad a movie as I make it out to be, but it does not justify its own existence after the ending that was Toy Story 3, frankly. Forky is great. I love his self-defeatism and identifying as trash. I find that very relatable. But one spork does not a movie save.
No, not at all.
Toy Sporky?
Oh. How dare you? How dare you say such a thing?
How dare I? How dare you? Oh man, no! I'd watch a movie entirely dedicated to Forky though. I mean, he got his own little mini-series of Disney Plus with him asking a bunch of existential questions. That was really funny.
Alright.
It wasn't really existential so much as it's stuff like Forky asking, "What's money?"
You know, once again, an apropos of nothing, my 5-year-old niece, the last time I had her over, I was playing some of my records, and I was playing my Jimi Hendrix record in particular, and she was having a good time with that, and I'm showing her, like, what the case of the record looks like, and it has pictures of Jimi Hendrix with his bandmates, and she asks who's singing. I'm like, oh, that's Jimi Hendrix, that's this guy. Oh, it's him? Yep, that's him. Is he alive? And I'm like, no, kid, he's dead. He died a while ago. And she says, oh, how did he die? I'm just like, I don't know, nor was I expecting to explain drug overdose to a 5-year-old today.
That's enough questions for today.
But I gave it my best shot, and it was not a good shot.
I bet.
Yeah, that was not great.
And now, I don't really know that this counts as newsworthy, but I feel like getting on a soapbox, so I'm gonna do it anyway. And because Don't Be a Creep is not specifically limited to, although usually pointed at, the notion of don't be a sex pest, but it also includes such notable things as just don't be sexist in general, don't be racist, just don't be an asshole. You know, I could call it Don't Be an Asshole, but that's not as catchy. I mean, I guess I could, don't be an asshole!
Well, Don't Be an Asshole is also way too broad, and with how the industries work that we are both interested in, we would have that segment every week and it would be half of the show.
I mean, I already shoehorned it in wherever I can. Actually, now I'm just picturing Mike Wazowski trying to improvise a musical number about that. Don't be an asshole! Oh god, Disney's coming for me.
And then on this edition of Don't Be an Asshole lawsuit version.
So anyways, we're bringing it back. Don't be a creep. Play the jingle.
Don't be a creep.
God, I love that. Narcissistic as hell of me, but I genuinely think that's the best thing I've ever done.
Fair and valid, I think.
Anyways, Sinners. It's making money. It's doing quite well. But it seems like the initial response from most of the trade publications and most mainstream sources were skepticism and doubt. And I don't know, though, it still might not necessarily make its money back. And this was an interesting phenomenon to me. And then I found a quote from a New York Times article talking about it. And this quote just kind of put it all in perspective and made me realize, oh, Especially when I found out Quentin Tarantino actually got a similar deal regarding copyright ownership when he made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because Sony agreed that the copyright would revert to him after a certain amount of time. The original article I saw said 30 years, but apparently some sources were saying 20 and some were even saying 10. So, who knows? The point is, Quentin Tarantino had a similar deal several years ago that didn't make nearly as many waves. But now all of a sudden, isn't this interesting? Ryan Coogler gets a very similar deal, and everyone's losing their minds!
Ooh, wow, everyone's losing their mind at a well-made horror movie directed by a black guy?
With a predominantly black cast? Who would have figured? I wonder what
I wonder what the big deal is. God almighty, I can't even keep it straight.
Right. Fuck the New York Times where I'm getting at with this, especially with this excerpt here. Warner Brothers also agreed to relinquish its ownership of the film after 25 years. Mr. Coogler will then own it, despite not paying for it. What the fuck?
No, that's not how that works. Largely because I would imagine, I don't know how it works in Hollywood, but I'm like, no, he paid something to have this made. Most directors have their own company, and that's how movies get started, generally speaking.
Yeah, his production company was already working on this. Warner Brothers bought the distribution rights. And yeah, I'm sure they put up funding for it, but the idea was his. Why does he have to pay for his idea?
Yeah, I mean, he already paid people who work for him to help with it. So, by default, money came out of this dude's pocket for this film.
And I know, this is an atypical deal. I understand that this is not how it ordinarily works and that I'm being a little naive phrasing it this way, but also, go fuck yourself, New York Times!
My thing with this is that I figured it was going to be a deal where, besides the aforementioned thing of people freaking out for what we're talking about, I figured the other thing would be Hollywood would be like, oh crap, if he's going to ask for it, then other people are going to, and we can't have that. I figured that's where that was going to go.
Oh man, the poor studio oligarchs can only make money off a movie for so long. We only have 2.5 decades to milk this property dry before the director gets it all back. What are we gonna do? Woe is us! Shut the fuck up!
So, funny thing with that, when we talked about that last time, about the deal that Coogler got in regards to the 25-year rule for this movie, it did make me kind of think about, genuinely speaking, what happens with these movies that these studios keep. Because I'd wager that, like, at least 90% of them don't get re-released, like, physically or anything like that. Chances are they probably get back on cable TV. If they put them on streaming services, yeah, big whoop, but how many people are actually going to see those movies compared to newer stuff that comes out?
I mean, re-releases can actually be pretty successful. Case in point, Revenge of the Sith, not to bury the lead, but Revenge of the Sith had a re-release just this weekend, and it did some numbers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it took second place domestically. I wasn't going to include it on this weekend's box office because I didn't go see it, but let me just double check, actually, and I know I'm getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but yeah, it made $25 million. Actually, just about $25.5 million this weekend on a re-release for a 20-year-old movie. So...
okay, admittedly, that is something.
And I mean, it is Star Wars, to be fair. However, I do want to note, it's a Star Wars prequel movie, and therefore, not exactly the greatest thing ever.
No, not really.
The important part is, major congratulations to Ryan Coogler for this success. I'm sorry that the press is apparently determined to jump down your throat and try to make this as anything other than a huge success. And
maybe the press is like, if we jump down his throat, maybe we'll get to the money too.
No, it's because they're all like, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. You know what? That cuts through some of the nuance and some of the details and gets right down to it.
Yeah.
Let's go to trailer time.
We're not doing the outro of the bit.
No, I feel like the jingle only needs to be played once.
Okay, fair.
Especially when I'm doing a jingle right now. Here's trailer time. It's trailer time again. We've got movie previews to watch. It's trailer time again. We got a trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer. A not remake, but a legacy sequel to the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I guess also its sequel.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
A legacy sequel, one of those ones where it's still directly connected to previous entries, but it's far enough down the line that most of the original cast isn't going to show up.
I've never heard that phrase before, honestly.
It's like Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is a legacy sequel. Well, okay, maybe it's not. Hold on.
No, yeah, because Cruise and Val Kilmer are still in it.
Yeah, I guess it's less of a legacy sequel. I know I can think of an example. Just not right now. Don't you hate that?
Yeah. Not a fun feeling.
Ghostbusters Afterlife! There we go!
Yeah, but some of the original cast do still show up there.
Yeah, and Jennifer Love Hewitt's back for this one. It's still a legacy sequel because most of the movie is about original characters.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't remember if I've ever actually seen any of the I Know What You Did Last Summers, but you know what?
Wait, there's multiple?
Yeah, there was at least 2, and I think there was a 3rd direct-to-video one, but I don't think many people talk about that.
Okay, alright.
No, I don't remember if I've seen a single one, but I'll admit there were some things in this trailer that I liked. I like the juxtaposition of dropping the bath bomb in, and that looking like blood, and then being contrasted with that spear gun or whatever it is, with the arrow going through the guy's shoulder, and the blood spreading out from there, much like the bath bomb dissipating into the water. That was neat.
That was kind of cool.
I like the guided meditation just hammering it in that this guy's dead and it's a problem of their own making. That's funny.
Right.
I respect the girl who says, I need to start drinking.
Oh, that was a thing where I'm just like, I feel like I should hate this because it's one of those things where it's like, there's so many lines that you could have chosen, but it's also still kind of relatable.
I mean, that was me last night watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. Not to get back to that.
Well, no, but that doesn't fit, because I'm just like, no, this isn't I need to start drinking. It's like, no, he's already gone.
Yeah, I needed to start drinking because the threat of that movie was looming overhead. Oh, Freddie Prinze Jr. is back for this, too. He was also in the originals. So that's neat. His last name is Bronson in that movie? Like Charles Bronson? Or, wait a minute, is the sheriff from Mystery Inc. named after a guy from I Know What You Did Last Summer? Is that the parallel? I mean, I guess he could also be named after Charles Bronson, but this isn't important.
See, now I'm curious.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do a quick Google of Sheriff Bronson Stone from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which is a damn good show.
Apparently his name is Bronson Stone.
Yeah, but, like, does the Bronson come from Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character? Does it come from Charles Bronson? Is it completely unrelated? I must have these answers, as Master Xehanort would put it.
Apparently... Well, hold on, let's check the apparent Scoobypedia.
What then would another Keyblade War bring? Oh, apparently he's named after Charles Bronson. Okay.
Apparently, canonically, this character's first name is actually Sheriff. His mother named him Sheriff because she knew he was gonna be a sheriff.
Well, it's like they always say, dress for the job you want. And by dress, I mean name your children for the job you vicariously want them to have. Don't do that. That's a bad idea.
Okay, I will admit, I remember watching the show, but I know for a fact I did not watch every episode, and I couldn't recall a lot to you. There is a hilarious image on the Scooby-Doo wiki of Bronson arresting Scooby-Doo, holding him by the collar, pinned up against his police cruiser, putting handcuffs with Scooby's arms around his back. I'm just like, oh, sweet God.
Oh, man. Did you read him his rights? Holy shit.
Did Scooby-Doo get his Miranda rights? Or would it be Roranda rights for him?
Does he get a dog lawyer, or does he get a regular lawyer?
That's a good question. Oh, Jesus Christ. That image is gonna live rent-free in my head for a little while.
Let's move on to another trailer.
Yes, indeed.
We got a teaser trailer. I know there was barely anything in it, but I still wanted to include it, for Weapons, the latest film from Zack Kreger. And the main reason I wanted to put this is because Zack Kreger also made Barbarian, which, you might recall, and if not, check out A Fondish Farewell to 2020. Wait, what was that episode called? Hold on a second. I have to double check. Actually, you know what? That's a plug that doesn't do anybody any good. I didn't really talk about Barbarian despite putting it at the number 2 list because part of the whole appeal of Barbarian is how utterly shocked I was knowing virtually nothing going into it because they kept it close to the vest and being utterly fucked up by it. So maybe don't bother checking that one out unless you really feel like it. I'd appreciate it, but that's up to you. So, suffice to say, that link to Barbarian in the form of same director and also the trailer being pretty minimalistic in what it's showing has my interest right off the bat.
Right. For me, I'm guessing it's going to go into an angle of the kids being possessed because they're all running in the same direction, doing the same style of run.
Y'all know you're Naruto running, right?
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only person who thought that. They looked like they were trying to do a ghetto Naruto run.
Believe it, that's their ninja way. But that's not what this is about. No, this looks proper suspenseful. I did try to check out the website that they linked, but I immediately got on this website is not secure and maybe try to steal your information, which is just great.
Oh, isn't that just the bee's knees?
Yeah, I say that sarcastically. That's what the fuck is that?
Right.
But God, it looks atmospheric. I'm excited. I have very high hopes after Barbarian, which if you haven't seen it, you absolutely should.
Oh yeah.
But if you're squeamish, it's kind of gross. It's a gross fucking movie.
Right. On a scale of 1 to Evil Dead Rise.
I don't think it's quite Evil Dead Rise. So if we assume Evil Dead Rise is a 10, actually, if we assume Evil Dead Rise is an 11, like in This Is Spinal Tap,
right.
I'd call... Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna call this a 8.5.
Okay. Which is pretty high.
That's pretty high, and I'd probably need to rewatch it to solidify my opinion. But it's an uncomfortable movie, and therefore one of those ones where despite my unabashed love for it, I am unlikely to ever watch it again, and I'm also unlikely to ever put it on the movie night list.
So basically me with Hereditary.
Yeah, but Hereditary's similar to me. I probably won't ever watch it again unless I'm subjecting some poor schmuck to it for the first time.
No, that probably wouldn't be me, just because at that point it's a thing of, wait, but that means I'm watching Hereditary again. It's like, no, I'm good. I don't need to watch this movie a second time.
Oh, I'll do it again. But only if I can drag somebody else down with me.
Sure.
August 8th, apparently, is when this comes out. Very exciting.
Alrighty.
And Josh Brolin's starring in it. That's neat. And Julia Garner. And Alden Ehrenreich. And Benedict Wong. Alright. Hell yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Okay,
yeah.
That's a pretty decent cast right there.
Hell yeah, it is. And then finally, we also got a trailer for Predator Badlands, which I didn't even have on the list originally because I've never been a big fan of the Predator franchise. I have seen Predator 2, I think, and I barely paid attention to that. However, this catches my interest because it is not a fully equipped Predator trying to be the equivalent of a small dick compensating big game hunter tracking down humans on Earth who have no idea it's coming or how to defend themselves, which is the equivalent of throwing grenades at squirrels in the park.
That is a very visceral mental image, by the way.
Yeah, and I hope it underscores exactly how pathetic the Predators and those like them are. Not gonna make the joke, not gonna make the joke, not gonna make the joke. Moving on!
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it, Anakin! That's not a joke, but I'll settle for that.
Right.
No, the fact that this is focusing on one of the... I forget what they're called, but, you know, the Predator species. On either their own planet or an equally alien planet, needing to do a hunt. Apparently, our point of view... I gotta figure out what they're called. I can't keep saying Predator. Our point of view Predator. Oh.
Oh.
You see the problem. You see the issue.
Starring Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. Apparently, our point of view character is an outcast because they're a little runt of a predator. I fucking hate this. I can't. I regret including this movie.
This is great.
I regret including this movie now. I need to watch Prey. This is from the same guy. I need to watch it.
For people who can't really understand what we're talking about, not even the premise from the Walt Disney Company does this justice. In the future, on a remote planet, a young predator, outcast from his clan, finds an unlikely ally.
Huh.
There's more to it than that, but it's just because of how our respective brains work and because we feel the unfortunate need to quip at everything.
And because we have a whole segment called Don't Be a Creep.
Yeah. Having the species being called predators does not... Oh god, it's a whole species. It's a whole planet of predators.
Oh, fuck. The other interesting thing about this movie that has nothing to do with what this species is called is that
they're...
Don't you fucking do it! Don't you fucking do it!
No, never mind, cut that.
I'm
Definitely
going
cut that.
to! You're lucky I have standards.
Yes.
And practices. But
God, I could go places with this tagline.
the other interesting point is that Elle Fanning's character is apparently an android created by Weyland Yutani, which is the big megacorp from the Alien franchise, which means they might be gearing up for another Alien vs. Predator.
Okay.
Nothing funny to be said there. I certainly didn't make a joke about it before we started recording, and I'm certainly not coming back to it now.
Yeah, that just occurred to me. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yep, not doing it.
Why?
November 7th, 2025, this comes out. I'm looking forward to it, which I never thought I'd say about a movie from this franchise that I'm done saying the name of because there's too many jokes.
This is a time.
You might say I'm not a fan of Predators.
Well, most people generally...
Fuck! Let's go to box office.
Let's do the box office.
So I kind of gave the game away a little bit, but I did see the highest grossing movie domestically this weekend because I saw it last weekend because it was Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
$45 million domestically this weekend or thereabouts for a $122.5 million domestic total. It's sitting at $161.6 million worldwide. Of particular note, I don't usually go into weekend drops, but this is worth noting.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking at a 5 or 6% drop from first weekend.
That's insane.
That is apparently the lowest either for a movie in general or for a movie that originally grossed over $40 million in its opening weekend. I've seen conflicting sources, but either way, it's the lowest for a movie in its second weekend since Avatar in 2009.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. For people who don't understand, that absolutely does not happen. There's usually an extremely substantial drop in revenue between movie weekends. That is insane, honestly.
You'll usually expect something... 50% is not uncommon. Once you start getting to 65 plus, then you start biting your fingernails going, oh, we got a bona fide flop on our hands.
Yeah.
Unless it made all its budget back in the first weekend, but...
Yeah, but usually it's somewhere along the line. I'd say for most movies, a 50% drop is expected. So to make 10 times less than that of a drop is insane.
Outstanding. I know this isn't going to become the new highest grossing movie worldwide of all time, but if it did, I'd be very happy for it. And
it would also be, for me personally, for very obvious reasons, very, very funny and very, very satisfying if it did.
I'm sure. I doubt it because, after 2 weekends, it's still not at 200 mil, but it could get there if they left it in theaters for 9 months, like they did Avatar, just saying.
And Top Gun Maverick. Well, no, Top Gun Maverick wasn't 9 months, but it was definitely a lot longer than most movies get.
It stayed at the top of the list for an insane amount of time.
Yes.
Anyways, the movie that I did see and plan on talking about, The Legend of Ochi, that took 10th place. $1.44 million domestically this weekend. This is its wider release after initially debuting in a limited capacity last weekend.
Okay.
It's currently sitting at $1.5 million domestically in total. No worldwide release info yet. Against a $10 million budget.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great.
Nope. So this is an A24 release. I do not remember if they were involved in producing it or simply distributing it. Let me double check.
Alrighty.
No, they are not one of the production companies. They are just one of the distributors. This is the directorial debut of Isaiah Saxon, and it's starring Helena Zengel, or Helena, I apologize. I bad with names. I just said I bad with names.
iCarly bad with names.
It's the new sequel to iRobot. I bad with names.
Yes, and then coming next year with that is a unprecedented Mafregan 2.0 crossover.
Oh dear. So it's also starring Finn Wolfhard, Emily Watson, and Willem Dafoe. And Look, this is strictly my opinion, alright? I fully acknowledge that I'm probably being overly harsh on this movie, but I have to go off of what I thought of the movie, and I didn't vibe with it.
Okay.
In fact, I've got it in the one of the most movies of all time, and I was genuinely kind of struggling with, do I put it in don't pay money to see this?
Oh, really?
And I ultimately decided not to, because that felt unfair, because there's enough good elements in here that I can't write it off in its entirety. But then that got me questioning, well then what's the difference between don't pay money to see this and Borderlands? Because the thing about Borderlands...
Borderlands is a uniquely terrible movie.
But there's a few movies I would have put in Borderlands that I wouldn't necessarily put in Don't Pay Money to See This. Case in point, Boy Kills World probably would have gone in Don't Pay Money to See This, but The Strangers Chapter 1 would have gone in Borderlands. But ironically, Borderlands would have probably gone under one of the most movies. I'm kidding, it goes in Borderlands.
Yeah. No, oh god. People that I know were just like, I can watch this for free. There are actually better uses of your time than watching this movie for free.
It's not free. You have to pay for whatever streaming service you're on, and you have to pay for electricity and internet. And let me tell you, spending any of that on Borderlands is a waste of any of that money.
It's a waste of resources.
And your life.
Yes.
I don't care how worthless you think your time is. It's worth more than that.
Yeah.
Take it from me, somebody whose time is functionally worthless. But no, The Legend of Ochi. It's a fantasy adventure film. Turns out not animated, despite what I thought. And it's about a girl named Yuri who lives in a isolated village. It's sort of a farming village, I think.
Okay.
I want to say it's in the middle of Europe. Where's Carpathia?
Carpathia? Really? Hold on.
That's gotta be... That's Dracula related, right?
Yeah. Well, wait, that's the name of a ship, but no, I'm pretty confident Carpathia is a real place. Hold on.
Well, there's Carpathian Mountains. But that's not necessarily Carpathia. Hold on a second. Most mentions I'm seeing of Carpathia are that it's a fictionalized place, but it's probably based somewhere in, I don't know, Europe.
Yeah, like I would say so.
Yeah. So... She lives with her dad and her adopted brother. Her dad played by Willem Dafoe and her adopted brother played by Finn Wolfhard. And this village, at night, there are creatures known as the Ochi that Willem Dafoe is insistent on hunting down and has basically organized a militia of basically scouts to try and hunt down and kill. And then she finds a little baby Ochi and she goes on an adventure. And it's, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not terrible. It is certainly not the worst thing I've ever seen. However, it feels like it's entirely too short for the things it's trying to get across. The family dynamics feel toxic to the point of I don't really care about redemption for any of these people, and maybe that's my hang-up, but... I don't know. Maybe this is a side effect of my Disney villain problem nowadays, where it's like, you remember... I know I've been on this soapbox, I'm gonna get back on it anyway.
Do I just need to, carry your soapbox in my backpack on a regular basis?
No, the optics on that are terrible. I'll carry my own soapbox, and then get on it.
Right.
But, no, I don't know. I'm kind of sick of fantasy movies where a family member is a antagonistic figure who's clearly responsible for a great deal of trauma over the years, and then over the course of an hour and a half, you realize, oh, they're not so bad. They just need to be reconciled with and their own trauma addressed. Trauma begets trauma. You're still a fucking asshole. Punch him in the face.
Yeah, because it's the kind of thing that's like, yeah, you can deal with your own trauma, but that doesn't excuse your past actions, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. And Willem Dafoe's character in this is uniquely, not uniquely, but actually pretty pedestrianly unpleasant.
On a scale of 1 to Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, that's an unfair comparison. He's a Zack Snyder on the scale of 1 to Zack Snyder.
Alright.
Who is probably my worst enemy, who's never actually done anything to me personally, and also isn't a big executive. Okay, there's a special place on my nemesis list.
And I've gotten him started. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah, look, alright, he's no Nelson Peltz, he's no Zazzle Dazzle, but I still hate him. I hate so much about how he chooses to conduct himself and the things he chooses to say, and, you know, I'd put Willem Dafoe's character in this movie on a similar end of the scale of, Oh, you're just a thorough fucking asshole. No wonder your wife left you.
Oof.
That's probably a spoiler.
Oof.
No, wait. No, it's not. It's established very early in. So, there's a bit when he's rallying the troops, so to speak, aka all these kids who he's roped into this fucking Ochi hunting expedition, going, the Ochi killed my wife. An immediate follow-up conversation, not 10 minutes later, with his daughter, reveals that, no, his wife's not dead, she left.
Mm.
He just lies about goddamn everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate it. I do not care about this family unit. I do not care if they reconcile. The main thing that appeals to me, I'm probably spoiling the fuck out of this movie.
Are we just jumping straight to spoilers then?
No, I have to try to... There's not really a lot to talk about, though, in the spoiler section, even if I did. Like, I can't really get much into why I don't vibe with this movie without spoiling the movie, so I guess this is a spoiler section all the way through?
Yeah, so this whole movie is spoilers. This is the opposite of a comedy movie review.
That's a rare instance. This whole movie is a spoiler section, because I don't like it, but I can't really get into why without spoiling the movie. So... yeah, no, if the fact that I put it on one of the most movies of all time is any indication...
And the fact that we're just gonna call this whole review the spoiler section.
Yeah, I guess it's worth seeing, but I also don't really feel like there's anything you get from this that you wouldn't get from a dozen other movies that already exist.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the design of the Ochis is pretty alright. The baby in particular, I feel like they used a puppet and then maybe touched it up with CGI.
So they pulled a Yoda.
It's definitely... you can see where a lot of the design sensibilities in regards to making it cute were probably... I don't want to say inspired by Grogu, because I don't want to imply that Grogu is a unique phenomenon, because Grogu himself probably takes a lot from the Gremlins.
Yeah.
But there's an evolutionary path here, where you can see a Mogwai evolving into Grogu, who maybe devolves a little bit back into an Ochi.
And thus the circle of puppeteer fictional character life has been established.
It's like how some sea life evolved into land mammals that then went back to the sea, and that's how we got whales.
Because they came to the land, saw all this shit, and was just like, oh, fuck this. This is not worth it. This is not worth having legs.
Yeah, the Gremlins evolved into Baby Yoda, who then peeked around and went, oh, this franchise stuff is for the fucking birds. I'm going back to being small and cute and only popping up here and there, and that's how we got Ochi.
While also being horrifically overpowered. Although I can't imagine the Ochi are overpowered.
They're not. The sound design's pretty bad in this.
Okay, is it Tenet bad? Because that's my...
It's not...
that is my gold standard when it comes to bad sound design.
It's not Tenet bad, and I always feel bad getting on a movie about sound, because I feel like part of that can also be up to the theater that you're in. Mm-hmm. However... I did browse the movie subreddit, where, funny enough, I seem to be in the minority of not really gelling with this movie, but I did see a pretty common complaint that the dialogue was hard to hear at certain points, and certain sounds in the movie, especially some of the soundtrack and then certain diegetic elements, are not particularly pleasant to listen to, and you get the impression it's supposed to be.
Okay. Alright.
The Ochi do a lot of singing to communicate, basically. Not with words, but they make a lot of vocalizations akin to music, and you can tell it's supposed to be haunting and beautiful, but instead you're just kind of going, ah, fuck, is that a dog whistle? Am I fucking Teen Wolf?
So, what you're telling me is that the Ochi communicate through mumble rap.
No, it's better than that.
Okay. Ouch.
I regret nothing. There's a weird tone with this movie, too. It feels like it's trying to strike a balance between sort of austere classical fairy tale and whimsical kid goes off on a journey of self-discovery and to, I don't know, make peace with their dissolving family unit or something. But it doesn't quite hit the tone right. It's also it's in an interesting place time-wise, because supermarkets and cars clearly exist, but the village itself is very rural, and Willem Dafoe spends a lot of time traipsing around in some weird fucking old gothic armor getup. I don't know how to describe it, except it's gaudy and out of place, and I'm not surprised that even with his daughter having run away, he doesn't get the police's help, because the police would probably knock his ass out.
Sir, there's this weirdo coming in gothic armor. Beat his ass up, then.
It's probably not the proper term for what that is. I'm no historian, but God, I feel like this might actually be a pretty short review of this movie because I'm really struggling to describe all the ways in which this does not come together for me.
Right.
But I feel like the Ochi design is really the best thing about this, and I am seeing that apparently it was in fact a puppet operated by 7 performers, which doesn't mean that there wasn't some computer animation, because I think we're far enough away that I can use this as a comparison. We know Hugh Jackman was wearing the Wolverine mask on set for Deadpool and Wolverine, and that mask still looks fake as fuck, so they clearly touched it up with CGI.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like a similar thing might have been done with the Ochi here, a little less distractingly so, but there are still elements where I think that doesn't look entirely authentic, so I feel like maybe they gave it a little bit of a scooch.
Right.
Finn Wolfhard's trying his best, he doesn't have an awful lot to do. Most of his character development comes too late to matter.
Okay.
Willem Dafoe is being his good old bug-fuck self, as normal.
I can't imagine you wrote a lot of notes for this film.
No, I've already covered most of them, actually. Oh, there is one really good scene in here that I did like, actually. Genuinely, and not just as an ironic meme sort of thing. But I guess, to an extent, it also hits that same corner of my brain. But there's a bit where the baby Ochi that Yuri finds is injured. It got its leg caught in a trap. And once she brings it home, she's trying to treat its injury, but as she tries to get close, it starts hissing at her, and it's got some pretty sharp fangs. So what she proceeds to do is, she reaches under her bed, grabs a tin that contains a pair of novelty vampire fangs in it, pops those in, and also starts hissing at the little baby Ochi. And
oh, so I don't know how to deal with a grumpy cat, so I'm gonna do the worst thing possible method.
It actually seems to work, though. It does calm down. And I thought,
okay,
that's pretty funny. That's pretty good. I like that. That's about what I would expect I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but a child of some age to respond to this sort of situation.
Alrighty.
And then there's one that really sticks out to me. It's just a scene with the baby Ochi chugging milk out of a carton, and I feel like this could inspire some memes. I don't know why, but I feel like this is going to inspire some memes, and nobody's going to know the source.
New FDA milk testing procedure.
Thank you. You've just given me one. I'm going to make a note of this.
I feel sad making that joke, too.
This will really come in handy a few months from now when I'm able to get screen caps of this movie.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, I feel bad, because I feel like I said, I don't think this is a particularly awful or incompetently made movie, and I hope that Isaiah Saxon continues to make more because I'm interested to see what else he can do with future films. This one just doesn't come together for me properly.
Fair.
And I don't really know how to articulate why, beyond it just feels like some of the elements do not mesh together in the way that he was maybe hoping it would. At least for me, because again, I seem to be in a minority, at least based on movie subreddit. Let me check Rotten Tomatoes real quick, I'm curious now. 80% critic score, 53% audience score. Alright, I am not in step with the critics on this one.
Okay.
You see that, people? I am still one of you!
Okay, because I was going to say, it's like, is this going to be one of those where you're looking at this and I'm like, this is a good movie in a lot of ways, but I personally just cannot vibe with it at all.
Fear not, humble cinema goers! Though I present myself as an expert, I am in fact a humble scrub, like many of you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe!
Subscribe! Please.
What's so funny about Biggest Dickus Indeed?
Oh my goodness.
I have a very great friend in Rome, Nate. But enough Monty Python references. I honestly think I might already be running out of this, because there's not a lot to talk about cast-wise, because it's a very minimalist cast. You do get glimpses of other people here and there, aside from the main family unit, including the mom, who does pop in part of the way through the movie, and she's also not awful, but clearly distant, which, yeah, running away from your bug-fucked Willem Dafoe husband will do that to you.
Jesus Christ.
But,
I mean, understandable, I suppose.
Yeah, I just don't know. Though. It did not work for me. And, like I said, there's still enough good elements. It's very beautifully shot. There are some really good scenery shots here, and I do really like the design of the Ochi itself, especially the baby. But
okay,
on the whole, it's the human element of this movie that falls flat for me and that doesn't click with me. And considering that's sort of the lens through which this whole thing gets filtered, that's kind of a big issue.
Understandable.
However, I do acknowledge, I think it's just something for me, maybe just something for me right now, today. If I watch this again, if I put this on the movie night list and watch it a few months from now, maybe I'd have a better opinion of it. I don't know that I would, and I don't know that I will put it on the list, but...
You watched this today before doing this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the reason why he doesn't have a hangover, because it wore off while watching this movie.
No, I didn't have one before I went into this movie. Thank you very much. Look, if Martha Manhunter didn't do it, you think this is gonna? I don't fucking think so.
Martha Manhunter. Alright, I will admit, I am upset that I left it before that.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, I mean, this is not the worst thing to go see. I just feel like there's better things you could see. Like Sinners. Except, maybe don't bring the kids to Sinners. Actually, you know what?
No, you
bring
cannot.
The kids to Sinners.
Whoa, you see this, son? This is sex ed right here.
Bring the kids to Sinners. Asterisk, much like in Thunderbolts, I'm not responsible for any therapy needs that result from seeing Sinners.
Look, if you took your kids to see Eternals, then they're good for Sinners.
No. Absolutely, that is not correct.
I am referencing just the...
Don't listen to him.
No, I am mostly referencing the rent-free thought/joke that we occasionally come up with, where it is a thing of, like, people are like, oh, I need to take the kids to see something. Oh boy, a Marvel movie. Really shitty sex scene on the beach.
Yeah, but the sex scene is mostly... It's not framed in such a way that it's excessive. The sex scenes in Sinners are different.
Yeah, it's the thing of just the thought of a parent who takes their kids to see it. It's like, oh, I did not have this on my bingo card.
Oh, this is a mistake. Yeah, no, don't actually bring your kids to go see this R-rated horror movie, except, maybe do if you think it'd be funny, but...
If you can afford to be an irresponsible parent for 2 hours with zero repercussions, then go for it.
And I think if veering off course like this is any indication, that probably about wraps this up. In which case, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Next week, it's time for Thunderbolts Asterisk. We'll finally figure out what the fuck this asterisk means.
It's there for no fucking reason.
Thunderbolts Asterisk. Oh god, please, let this do well. We need people to shut up about the Avengers long enough for us to get an Avengers movie together. I guess we could have solved this problem by mentioning the Avengers beforehand, or getting a better idea of who the Avengers were gonna be, and not waiting until the end of the last Captain America movie to say we were getting the Avengers back together, so this is kind of a problem of our own making, but still, nonetheless, please, viewing audiences, we beg you, shut the fuck up about the Avengers. This is probably the longest joke about the Thunderbolts asterisk I've ever made. Send help. I don't know how to stop. I think I'm stuck in a loop. I've not seen my wife and kids in 3 weeks. I'm trapped in this recording studio. I'm kidding. Ugh.
The thing that'll rescue him from the studio? Superman ripping the roof off of it and killing him.
Hell yeah! I long for death at the hands of Superman. Wait, which Superman?
Henry Cavill?
Never mind.
Yeah, but you get to meet Henry Cavill then.
But regardless of which Superman it is or what the Asterisk and Thunderbolts means, this has been Under the Bridge with Cody, aka the Scarlet Troll.
And with Greg, aka Greg.
And we'll catch you all next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye!